News 25's Severe Weather Alert.
Hey there, Gulf Coast. Want to give you a quick update on the weather conditions out there. We have Tropical Storm Gordon to our south. We are starting to see a few showers, a few rumbles of thunder move through the area, some gusty winds as well, but this really isn't associated with the outer range just yet, but some heavy rainfall moving into Hancock County. It moved into Harrison County earlier. We're going to see a little bit of a break out there, but still a little bit breezy before the heavier stuff finally starts to move in. So it is about 100 or 50 miles or so to our southeast. Here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center. This is as of 1 p.m. It is still a tropical storm, so some good news there. It hasn't reached hurricane status yet. We have sustained winds still at 65 miles per hour. It really hasn't strengthened pretty much over the past about 12 hours or so. Movement is still to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour, and the pressure is pretty much the same as well. So it really hasn't changed much since our 10 a.m. update, but that could change with our next update as we go into the evening and overnight hours. Notice they still are forecasting it to become a Category 1 hurricane right before landfall. Timing still, let's say about 7 to 10 o'clock is when the center could move on shore in South Mississippi. Notice all of South Mississippi in the cone, so everyone should prepare for an impact of a Category 1 storm with sustained winds at about 75 miles per hour. I wanted to give you an idea of the wind forecast. Notice anywhere in yellow is about 39 miles per hour up to about 60 miles per hour, which is tropical storm force. They extend about 80 miles away from the center. The center of the storm is going to be closer to where this yellow is, which is stronger winds. But notice nothing red there. So we're not seeing any hurricane force winds just yet, but as we get to about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight, we're going to start to feel those tropical storm force winds move in over the next couple of hours. That's when conditions are going to start to go downhill. But notice this red right here. That's indicating hurricane force sustained winds of at least 74 miles per hour. And that, notice they have it moving into Jackson County. Depending on the track, if it tracks a little further off towards the east, or the west, excuse me, we'll see that red, the hurricane force winds, move a little bit further into Harrison County. I don't necessarily want you to focus on exactly where these colors are right now, but just know there is a potential to see a very small area of hurricane force winds, not expecting the entire area to see the hurricane force winds. It's going to be very isolated, but very windy pretty much everywhere, at least tropical storm force, so do keep that in mind. We go to about 10 o'clock tonight. They still have hurricane force winds in the vicinity or in South Mississippi. Depending on where it is at will depend on the exact track. So everyone should prepare for at least hurricane force winds. Depending on where the track goes, that's going to determine where we see those winds. As we go into about midnight, we're still dealing with the tropical storm force winds. This isn't going to move in and move out really quickly. It's not going to linger for a whole lot or a very long time, but it will be lingering in the area until after midnight or so. And we're still going into Wednesday morning, still seeing some breezy conditions. And by Wednesday, going to around lunchtime, we finally start to see those tropical storm force winds move on out of the area. So here's the threats that we're thinking we're going to be dealing with. The tornado threat, it's low, but it is there. We will likely see a few tornado warnings, especially off to the east of the center is the best chance for that. Storm surge, still thinking about 3 to 5 feet for most locations. Winds sustained 40 to 50 miles per hour. That's going to be numerous or many locations experiencing that. We will have isolated areas that do experience sustained winds of probably hurricane force of 75 miles per hour. Gusts 65. We could see even gusts in a few isolated locations over 80. It's not out of the question. Isolated 3 to 6 inches of rain, or most areas 3 to 6 inches of rain. Isolated 8+ inches. So because of that, wind and flooding are going to be our primary concerns with Gordon as it moves on into the area. So as you can see here, the swath of rain, 3 to 6 inches anywhere in the oranges. We'll have isolated higher amounts, 8+. We could even see 10+ inches in a few locations. But notice how tight the gradient is off towards New Orleans. Really not picking up a whole lot of rain. They're going to be on the west side of the storm for areas to the east and the north of it. That's where the heaviest rain is going to fall, which is going to be most of South Mississippi. Flash flood watch continues. We will likely see some of these turn to flash flood warnings as those heavier bands start to move into the area. We've also got river flood warnings as well. And do keep in mind that storm surge not only impacting the coastal areas along the beachfront, but it's going to impact the bay and the rivers that lead into the bay as it starts to back up. Hurricane warnings continue for our area, tropical storm warnings for the inland areas. There's a storm surge warning. It goes until pretty much further notice. until we finally see Gordon move on out of the area. We also have a slight risk for severe weather, and this is pretty much indicating the risk for tornadoes. The best risk is going to be just off to the east of the center of the storm, so if it does track where they're thinking around Gulfport or into Harrison County, the best tornado chances are going to be off in Jackson, George counties, and over towards Alabama. So the bottom line is we do have that hurricane warning, 40 to 50 mile per hour sustained winds for most locations. We are going to probably see isolated hurricane force, which means 74 mile per hour and even higher. Storm surge warning, 3 to 5 feet for most locations along the coast as Gordon moves in later on tonight. Flash flood watch as well because we are expecting quite a bit of rainfall, 3 to 6 inches on average. We will have isolated higher amounts though, and of course the river flooding is also going to be a very large concern. The main impact is going to be, we're pretty much going to start going downhill over the next couple of hours. We'll start to see more rain move in and some gusty conditions, but the worst, expecting it to be anywhere between about 7 to 11 o'clock at this moment. We might have to adjust that a little bit as we continue to get updates from the National Hurricane Center, but either way, continue to stay updated and we'll continue to bring you updates as needed.